And welcome to the broadcast. It is Worldview 2 Washington Report, our brand new broadcast each and every night here at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern Standard. We will be absorbing the Bad News Bears, the financial show, into Brannon Howse Live. They'll be joining us about once a week for updates. But we wanted to establish our new Washington office, as you always seem to do that. You just seem to know right when we go live, and she pops up to say hello, but whatever. She's our studio dog, Delta, for the Delta. That was the last one. Dolly, for all those who want to know, why does this dog pop up in his lap from time to time? She just stops by to give me some love. She was over there in the floor chewing on a bone. There you go. So we'll bring the Bad News Bears into my show, Brannon Howse Live, but we wanted to bring this to you each and every night. We have big news, press conference going on tonight in the White House with Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, and President Donald Trump. President Trump saying that the United States government is going to take over Gaza, that the people who have been there should not be developing it. It's time for them to go. It's a miserable place. He said it's an unlucky place. And we're going to get into this more tonight and play clips with Aaron Lavarco, our reporter on the ground in Israel tonight. This is huge news tonight, folks, coming out of the White House as we're even on the air right now. Joining me now is our D.C. correspondent, Neil McCabe. Neil, welcome. Thanks for joining us as a co-host of this program.
Very good to be with you, Brannon. It's, you want to say, oh, big news tonight, but it's big news every night.
Well, it is. The guy's been in office 2 weeks in 1 day, or 2 weeks in 1 day, or 2 weeks in 2 days. It is just nonstop, Neil, nonstop. What he's doing. And of course, his first guest to the White House as a foreign leader is Benjamin Netanyahu, to be followed up next week, I hear, by the King of Jordan, who he's saying, you guys are going to have to take these Palestinians, 1.7, 1.8 million, he said in the Oval Office this evening with Benjamin Netanyahu. Egypt and Jordan, you're going to have to take some of these people. You were all over the Middle East in the military. I think you got 2 Bronze Stars for your reporting. What are your thoughts on this?
Just one.
All right, I want to give you 2.
Star.
No, I heard you had 10 Bronze Stars. All right.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Just one.
Audie Murphy. So
just one. I know why I thought 2, but you probably deserve 2. But anyway, all right. So
listen,
you've been all over the Middle East. You've been all over the Middle East.
Yes, and I will tell you that Jordan is absolutely a linchpin to our policy in the Middle East, and part of that is the relationship that the King of Jordan has with the U.S. Army, specifically the Special Forces community. He's a graduate of Sandhurst, which is the British Military Academy. He trained with British Special Forces. And the Green Berets, the Army Special Forces soldiers, have had bases and relationships in Jordan for a very long time. And the other thing that's very critical is that our hub of operations, what they call the operational command post, is Camp Arif John, Kuwait. But there is a feeling that Kuwait is just too close to Iran. And so you're going to see a movement of personnel and equipment from Kuwait to Jordan. We had an army base in Qatar, right next to about 30 minutes from Al Udeid, which is the largest Air Force base on foreign soil. And that's been moved. That basically the Army has shut that down and handed it over to the State Department. And so it's interesting that we're bringing Jordan on board, because Jordan is absolutely critical. And as you know, and I'm sure people listening or watching know, that the original plan was that Jordan was going to be the home of the Palestinians. And when King Hussein's father sort of jacked that up, that's when you had the PLO and everything else winding out of control in the 70s. And so Jordan has to be a part of this mix, but there's no way you can send these people back to, it's basically just rubble and rebar and broken glass. It's certainly no place for children. It's no place for a family. It's no place to have a building. I would welcome an opportunity for Gazans to get jobs clearing out the, all of the rubble and everything else. And certainly if we can train them up to be part of, industries and manufacturing. I am a little concerned about people sort of turning it into a fabulous resort. If I was a Gazan, I I might kind of resent that.
Well, he's saying
And
that
I don't know.
1.7 or 1.8 million of them are going to go. He has said that tonight from the Oval Office. They're going. They're going to go to Jordan.
Well,
they're going to go to Egypt. He's not saying maybe. They're going.
Well, they're going, but the idea is, would they be allowed to come back? And I heard him say before that you could clear them out, fix it, and then bring them back. But I think what you're seeing really is that Trump is taking the opportunity to rework the United States and to rework the world, just like we saw Obama transform things and try to rebalance relationships. And I was talking to somebody who's kind of an expert on Richard Nixon, and I'm a huge Nixon guy. When Nixon was defeated for the presidency and for the governor of California, he went into a sort of a self-imposed exile, became a lawyer in New York. But he continued to plot his return. And not only did he plot his political return, what that campaign would look like when he ran for president again, he also talked to people about what will we do when we have the White House so that we don't waste it. And if you look at Nixon's 6 years, it's certainly some of the most consequential years in our history. And we are basically living with the federal budget and the geopolitical balances that were given to us by Richard Nixon. And you're seeing Trump now in the same way. He took his 4 years in exile, not only politically, how am I going to stay relevant? How am I going to run in 2024? But also, when I have the opportunity to be in the White House again, what will I do with it? And there's so many politicians, they just want to be president so they can be president, whereas Trump wants to be president so he can do something with it. And we're seeing it literally all over the map, Brannon.
Yeah, and of course, let's go to Iran. Because right before Benjamin Netanyahu comes in to the Oval Office and then they give a press conference tonight, President Trump said and signed this about Iran and nuclear weapons. Here we go.
Next, sir, this is a national security presidential memorandum that seeks to impose maximum pressure on the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Many of these provisions are similar to actions that your administration took during your first administration. The basic idea here is to have every department and agency, or many departments and agencies in your government attempt to sanction and control Iranian activities, particularly relating to the Iranian nuclear program and the Iranian export of terrorism through support of various proxy groups abroad. And the intent here is to give you all of the possible tools to, I'd say, engage with the Iranian government to ensure that going forward they are less of a malign actor on the world stage.
So this is one that I'm torn about. Everybody wants me to sign it. I'll do that. It's very tough on Iran. It's what we had before. We would have never had the problem. You would have never had October 7th. We would have never had the problem had the election gone a different way, which it should have. But this one, I think, more than made up for it. I think we're doing things, and it shows that more than made up for it, much more historic. The Iran situation, hopefully, I'm going to sign it, but hopefully we're not going to have to use it very much. We will see whether or not we can arrange or work out a deal with Iran, and everybody can live together, and maybe that's possible, and maybe it's not possible. So I'm signing this, and I'm unhappy to do it, but I really have not so much choice because we have to be strong and firm, and I hope that it's not going to have to be used in any great measure at all. It'd be great if we could have a Middle East and maybe a world at total peace. Right now you don't have that. When I left, you had peace all over the world, and now you have the world is blowing up. As you know, Bibi is coming in to see me later. Others are coming in to see me. We'll see what we can do. But I'm signing this, and hopefully it will be a document which won't be very important, will hardly have to be used.
So what kind of deal would you be prepared to make?
Well, we're going to see. I mean, we're going to see. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. With me, it's very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. We don't want to be tough on Iran. We don't want to be tough on anybody, but they just can't have a nuclear weapon.
Mr. President, are you going to engage in conversations with your counterpart in Iran?
I would.
Do you want to block the sale of Iranian oil to other nations?
Well, we have the right to do that, and that's what I did before, and they had no money. They wouldn't have had the money for Hamas or Hezbollah or anybody else. It could have been solved, this thing. It just, if things went the way they should have, this would have been over long ago, but it's not over.
How close do you think Iran is to developing nuclear weapons?
I think they're close. They're too close. But again, you could go back 4 years, I would have said they would have had it during this intervening period. But they're pretty close, Peter.
And why say that you're unhappy to sign it if it's Iran and their proxies who have threatened to retaliate against you and your team by killing you guys for taking out Soleimani?
Well, they haven't done that, and that would be a terrible thing for them to do.
Okay, now I want you guys to pay close attention to what he's about to say. Are you guys ready? Because I know what he's going to say because I read the transcript. Here we go.
Not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That would be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why. Lack of intelligence, perhaps. But he never said it. If that happens to a leader, or close to a leader, frankly, if you had other people involved also, you would call for total obliteration of a state that did it. That would include Iran. So I'm signing this.
There you go. So he has said if Iran, because we know they've been after him since he took out the General Soleimani, and we've shown the videos out of Iran with, they've put out videos that they've created off computers showing them taking out President Trump on his golf course. And we've been worrying about that for over 2 years now and showing that video. He now just said from the Oval Office tonight that if Iran does that, he has left instructions to his advisors that Iran is to be obliterated.
Yeah, I think that what Iran has always needed is somebody to come at them with that big stick that Teddy Roosevelt talked about. But remember, the people in the Biden administration were all the deputies and assistants in the Obama administration. And the Obama administration literally wanted to rework the axis of our alliance in the Middle East so that instead of being the United States allied with Israel, it was the United States allied with Iran against Israel. And so much of the Obama foreign policy makes sense if you look at it from the perspective of what benefited Iran. So we pulled out of Iraq because Iran wanted us out of Iraq. When ISIS was marching towards the Iranian border, all of a sudden, Barack Obama, the guy who pulled us out of Iraq, puts us back in Iraq, and we're still in Iraq because that's what the Iranians wanted. Mubarak in Egypt, he was anti-Iranian. He wouldn't allow the Iranians to use the Suez Canal. Within months of Obama's presidency, right? Mubarak is gone. The Muslim Brotherhood is in, and the Iranians have been using the, I know, see, they have a new government now, but the fact is that the Iranians continue to use the Suez Canal. Last thing I'll talk about is Gaddafi. Gaddafi had has stopped his nuclear program. He was cooperating with American officials. Everything we knew about the Iranian nuclear program basically came from Gaddafi. Gaddafi was helping us denuclearize the Iranians. When Obama comes in, the Iranians say, we want you to take down Gaddafi. Gaddafi's gone. And the disaster of that policy was so bad. Nobody even talks about Libya. It's almost a mistake to put it on the map. It was such a disaster with Benghazi and everything else. But the only reason we were there was because that's what the Iranians wanted. And, Biden basically undid all of the policies, all the executive actions, all of the sanctions. And basically, he refloated the Iranian state, which was bankrupt. They were broke when Trump left office. And yet they weren't broke when Biden leaves office because of all of the money that he sent them. And, of course, look what they did with it, Brannon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to another topic tonight. And that is the FBI agents. We're getting reports of how many of the FBI agents were actually working on J6 versus tracking down terrorists and Islamists and the Black Lives Matter and communists that burned down Minneapolis in 2020 and all these other places. How many thousands of FBI agents were, and what percentage of the force was that were going after Americans who were on the lawn of the Capitol, even if they didn't go in?
So the media reports coming out now are saying that there were 5,000 FBI workers who were associated with the J6 investigations and prosecutions. So that might not mean all of them were agents, but certainly you're looking at analysts and other people. You have a workforce of 38,000. So I don't know, what's 5,000? That's what, 10%? A little more. It's more than 10% of the total force. If there are 13,000 total FBI agents, if there were 5,000 of those agents on J6, that would be 40% of the force. But certainly the FBI was not investigating any of the churches that were burned down. And the FBI was certainly not paying attention to what was going on in the border and all the gangsters and terrorists and drug runners who were being waved into the border. It's been an absolute disgrace the last 4 years. And they treated this J6 as this sort of, dare I say, Reichstag moment to justify a clampdown on people who did not deserve that clampdown. Yes, there were violent people. Yes, there were people who were made violent by the police tear gassing and firing into the crowd. So I think law enforcement played a role in making that protest into a riot. But there were a lot of people I know, friends of mine, who were caught up in misdemeanor charges. One guy I know, he was they caught him. They basically charged him with misdemeanor, right? So you have the FBI agents of the U.S. Attorney of D.C. prosecuting misdemeanors, right? This guy was held for 3 weeks, 9 days, solitary confinement, no change of clothes, no shower. He goes to trial. The judge gives him 2 weeks. So he gets, so he's like, he's got time served. But what do you do with the extra week, Brannon? What do you do? You have an extra week of federal lockup. Do you just keep that on account? Like, could he just throw a brick in a window and just say, hey, you guys owe me a week? It's just, the whole thing is so crazy. And so many people committed suicide rather than go through this process. So many people lost their businesses and their family relations. I think I saw like a third of the people were turned in by family members. So it's almost like this, the Red Guard turning in their elders. There was something just bizarre about, relatives turning on each other. And certainly the whole J6, top to bottom, front to back, soup to nuts, is just a horrible situation that we wish never happened. But we have to find out what happened. After apartheid fell in South Africa, they had the Truth and Reconciliation process. And so, when the blacks took over South Africa, they didn't just start hanging people. But what they did say is, we want to know what happened. Open the files and tell us what was going on. That's what we need to know. We need to know what happened. What were these guys doing? It's just so terrible, Brannon.
Yeah, indeed it is. Let's go to this real quick. The funding, the BBC. The BBC has been getting money from USAID. My tax dollars, your tax dollars, the tax dollars of these viewers tonight. We work hard. We're honest. We work hard. We pay our taxes. And it goes over to the BBC to push. And they do some good programming over there. I've seen some good documentaries and whatnot. But my money, your money, our viewers' money going to the BBC, which by and large pushes liberal claptrap talking points. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah, of course. Listen, what we see of the BBC in this country is masterpiece theater, right? So the 1 or 2 good shows a year, go on public television. But a lot of the BBC produce is just absolute crap.
Yep.
And so this garbage, right, is being supported by the U.S. government. And not only that, there are BBC commentators who come, like Katty Kay, who's on a regular on Morning Joe, who basically trash Republicans, trash President Trump. The BBC is the propaganda arm of the British Crown. It is literally imperialistic propaganda. This is part of the diplomatic service. The BBC was created to push the British worldview and to attack Britain's enemies. This is the BBC is their version of Voice of America. And so it's like we're paying British propagandists to come into the United States and tell us what to do. But you see it all over the place. The USAID files are magnificent as a blueprint of corruption and really like unethical and frankly immoral behavior. And it's nothing like sunlight, right, to kill the bacteria.
Indeed. I am trying here at 6:52 Central, 7:52 Eastern Standard. I'm trying my best to produce this show live and keep up with all that's happening because it is happening as we are on the air. Of course, we're going to
have the alerts just talking to you. I'm getting all these alerts. It's
know.
I have to take out my glasses to read them.
It's ridiculous. Listen. You got to hear this.
Let me tell you this.
You got to hear this.
We have a few minutes left.
Yeah, but you got to hear
please.
President Trump. You have to hear what he just said to an Afghanistan reporter, This is so Donald Trump.
Go ahead.
Afghan suffered women as I expectation from you. Do you have any plan to change Afghanistan situation? Are you able to recognize Taliban? Because I'm an Afghan journalist, Afghan suffered women. Any comment about Afghanistan? What's your future plan for Afghan people, especially Afghanistan?
I have a little hard time understanding you. Where are you from? Oh. Actually, it's a beautiful voice and a beautiful accent. The only problem is I can't understand a word you're saying. But I just say this, good luck, live in peace. Go ahead, please.
Good luck, live in peace.
Good luck, live in peace.
I can't understand a word you're saying. I can just say good luck and live in peace. She was like, what are you doing with Afghanistan? Oh, wow. Okay, what did you have? I just knew we had to get that in.
USAID, of course, was paying the bills for the Taliban. And so I do want to make a point that there are many wins so far in the early days of the Trump administration 2.0. And one of the big wins is the collapse of Senate Republican opposition to the president. And we see Tom Tillis was touted as one of the guys who was going to stand in the breach. We were told Todd Young was going from Indiana, was going to stand up to the president. We were told that Bill Cassidy, the senator from Louisiana, he was going to block Bobby Kennedy. And these things just aren't happening. It's really remarkable to see. So Bobby Kennedy was approved by the Senate Finance Committee that was chaired by Mike Crapo today. Crapo is a strong Trump ally. The second committee is Cassidy's committee, which is the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, or HELP Committee, if you will. And so with Cassidy is on both committees. So if Cassidy, who's a physician, is going to support Kennedy, then no Republican has the leg to stand on. And so we see Kennedy get through. We're going to see Tulsi Gabbard, who got through the Senate Intel Committee, with James Langford finally came home to Jesus. There is no one.
And I have breaking news. Breaking news.
Yes.
The Senate has just confirmed as Attorney General Pam Bondi while we're on the air.
Wow. So that means nine out of Trump's 22 cabinet officer nominees have been approved so far. At the end of 4 years ago, all but one were confirmed by Biden. Not a single Senate Democrat voted against any of Biden's nominees. I don't know why why is it considered normal that Republicans are supposed to oppose a Republican president? But that's sort of the world we live in. But Trump is just knocking it all down. He's just knocking it all down.
And Joy Reid on MSNBC doesn't know what to do with herself after Donald Trump announces the U.S. is taking over Gaza. Watch this. This is funny.
Donald Trump making news in the biggest possible way. I'm going to read you the quotes that I think are stunning to just about everyone who heard them today after a day of calling for the people of Gaza, who he numbered at 1.8 million, to be relocated out of the Gaza Strip, Today, Donald Trump said the following about the Palestinian people. They can instead occupy all of a beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do it, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site, and get rid of the destroyed buildings. When he was pressed on whether or not he would be willing to use the military to accomplish the U.S. takeover of the Gaza Strip, he doubled down on that, said, we will do what's necessary. We'll do what's necessary. If it's necessary, we'll do that. We're going to take over the peace and we're going to develop it. He referred to the Gaza Strip as the Riviera of the Middle East. He said that world people will live in Gaza, including Palestinians and anyone else, I suppose, that wants to live in this new real estate development he proposed today. This was stunning. And this came in a press conference with...
She really doesn't know where to go with this one. She's finally just doing what she's supposed to do for a show like MSNBC, which is she's just reporting the facts. I don't think she knows whether to support or attack it yet. She hasn't gotten the memo, apparently.
Well, it just goes to show you that that Trump is flexing in all areas, and he sees a problem and he's fixing it. And it reminds me, frankly, of the best of Bill Clinton's presidency. Like between the Oklahoma bombing and Monica Lewinsky, Clinton was as good an operating president as we've ever had, because he was actually when a new problem came up, he didn't fall back on left-wing solutions. He actually was trying to engage and figure out how do we actually fix this thing. And I really appreciated that about Bill Clinton for that short amount of time where he wasn't obsessed with saving his own skin and lying to the people about other things. But we see this with Trump. He is an incredible operator, but also a strategic thinker. And we're just lucky to have him. And frankly, if that is all he did for 2 weeks, it would be a wonderful 4 years.
I know. Isn't that the truth? If all he's done in 2 weeks and 2 days up till now, be like, wow, that was a very successful term. This is going to be fun to watch. Yeah, this is going to be fun to watch, and to watch what the left does with it. I understand there are already protesters with their pro-Hamas flags and whatnot protesting in D.C., so this is going to ramp up. We'll be covering it with our D.C. reporter, our correspondent, Neil McCabe, here on our second night, a new show, the Worldview Tube Washington Report. And Neil, thank you so much for being on our team and being with us. Neil McCabe, folks. You too, my friend. And we're going to go to the Worldview Report I'm delivering tonight, and then Brannon House Live, and we'll be joined by our reporter on the ground, Aaron Lavarco from Israel. Stay tuned, Worldview Tube. Take care.